Hello and welcome back to RBY Pokemon Challenges. We are starting the second section of our Minimum Battles series, where we are taking the 72 Pokemon that were able to beat Brock on Minimum Battles, and now we're pitting them up against Misty. So, this is going to be a pretty big challenge for some of these Pokemon, because as we saw, most Fire-type Pokemon were actually able to get through Brock, but when they get to Misty, they might hit a wall. So let's find out how that goes. If you have not seen our series to this point, make sure that you like and subscribe and check in the description down below. We have the full runs of all 151 Pokemon trying to beat Brock on Minimum Battles. Like I said, 72 eventually got through, but which ones did we get? Check down below and you can see the actual runs. But, just to recap, why are we doing minimum battles? We do minimum battles because it prevents us from just leveling up past our problems. Any Pokemon can beat Misty. Literally, any Pokemon can beat Misty if you just grind long enough, okay? If you take your Caterpie and you grind it up to level 50, it will be able to beat Misty, absolutely. If you take your Abra and you just get it to have enough health that it can struggle against Misty, you can beat her. Those are not really relevant challenges. I mean, you're just kind of grinding and grinding and grinding until you can win. It's a rather boring way to play the game. So, instead, by using minimum battles, we're putting all of these Pokemon on a level playing field. In the full game playthrough, they will be limited in the total amount of XP that they can earn. Now, that doesn't mean that they have to fight Misty when they get to her initially. We can use some different routing in order to beat her. We just have to keep within the minimum battles in the kind of macro scale, thinking about the whole game as opposed to just thinking about Misty. For example, in this run, we may go north to Bill's house. We can get some extra HP or experience. We can get some TMs. There are many things that we could do in order to increase our chances of beating Misty. And in fact, we could even go down to the SSN and beat Rival 3, if that's what we need in order to get through. Some Pokemon probably can just fight Misty the second they get to Cerulean City. And some Pokemon are going to need those extra levels. But it's not that we're grinding up levels without any constraints. We're grinding up levels by only fighting the trainers that we would have to fight in order to beat the game in the long run. You cannot progress through the game without beating these trainers. It's going to put a lot of focus on strategy and movesets, and I think it's going to make good content for you guys. If you like it, please let me know down below. If you have any suggestions, don't hesitate to tell us. Especially when we come to some strategic things, we may find that, hey, a certain strategy works really, really well, and we might need to redo a couple of runs based on what we learn. So, going on to today, we have 5 challengers for Misty, but just before we look at that, let's back up for a second. These are the 72 Pokemon that were able to beat Brock on minimum battles. We can see a lot of things that we would expect. For example, grass types absolutely crushed Brock. Water types absolutely crushed Brock. But there are some surprises here. We have, for example, Pidgeotto and Pidgeot getting through. They only know Quick Attack and Gust and Sand Attack. All normal type moves. A Pokemon like Clefairy was able to get through. We saw some pretty interesting ones with Dodrio getting through. We're going to have to see which ones of these Pokemon can actually stand up when they get to Misty, because particularly the water types are at a pretty big disadvantage here if they don't have normal type attacking moves. So some Pokemon that might fall into that list, Horsey, Seadra, perhaps a Pokemon like Lapras, if they don't level up enough to get some normal type attacking moves, And if they don't learn any of those moves naturally uh, or through TMs, they can end up against Misty where they're using Water Gun, which is resisted, and Misty's using Tackle and using a bunch of X defense to lower our attack against her. We could be in for some pretty difficult fights if that's the case. So this is the section that I think we're actually going to see the water types lose their dominance a little bit. Now, on the flip side, grass types, electric types, the electric types that got through, we would expect this to be an absolute cakewalk of a section for them. Fire types might be knocked out. We're just going to have to see. And some of the ground types that were able to beat Brock because they had ground type moves. Again, they may be out of the running here. So, let's look at our 5 challengers today in particular. Today we have Surfing Pikachu. Yes, Surfing Pikachu is legitimate in Generation 1. Just needed to play Pokemon Stadium. You could get him. Oddish, Starmie, Rhydon, and Arcanine. So I tried to choose a good mix of Pokemon that would probably have an easy time against Misty. Of course, Pikachu and Oddish. But then some Pokemon that might really struggle against Misty. Rhydon and Arcanine have huge type of disadvantages. Arcanine probably has a better moveset and better speed, certainly, to go up against Misty, whereas Rhydon is slow and 4 times weak to Water type. So it's going to be a very difficult run. Let's see if these Pokemon can get through Misty. So, first, let's start off with our Surfing Pikachu, and we're changing the layout just a little bit here. As you can see, we have Pikachu's Learn set on the left side. We have its TMs and HMs over on the right side here. And really, in this section of the game, there aren't a ton of TMs that we can get. We can get Water Gun and Mega Punch inside of Mount Moon. We've already got Bide from Brock. We can get, for example, the Thunder Wave TM north of Cerulean City on the way to Bill's house if we need it. We can get the HM for Cut by going down to the SSN, and we can get the TM for Dig by going towards Vermilion City as well. A few TMs that we cannot get at this point. We will not be able to get Seismic Toss at this point. The reason is because the trainer that we're going to have to fight to keep our minimum battles is blocking the Seismic Toss TM. And so we can go back after we get Cut and get it, but that requires us to beat Misty first to use Cut outside of battle. The other TMs that you might think we would get, Rest and Body Slam, are stuck behind optional trainers in the SSN. So, no, we are not going to get Rest. No, we are not going to get Body Slam. They are not available to us in this playthrough. So, we're just going to have to find a good way to get through without those. So, if you're looking at Pikachu and saying, oh yeah, Pikachu gets Body Slam, so make sure that you go down and you pick that up. Nope, that's not an option for us. That being said, I think our Pikachu is going to do just fine. We're probably going to learn Double Team before we get to Misty, and that may be part of our strategy. It's a minimum battles run, so yeah, you might say Double Team is a cheap move, but come on, it's just about can we win or not. So let's get our Pikachu ROM loaded up here and get going with our first run. So here, as we can see, this is a Surfing Pikachu. We know Thundershock, Surf, Tail Whip, and Thunder Wave to start off our run. And we are just going to start running through the next route to try to get to Misty as quickly as possible. So, there we go. We got poisoned. That's no good. Pikachu is really a Pokemon that I expect to be just fine during this section. of our run. I do think that we want to learn Quick Attack. And Thunder Wave, we'll be able to get Thunder Wave back via TM, so I'm actually going to forget Thunder Wave for now. And there we go. We've gotten through those required trainers. Oh no, we fainted. That's alright. We don't have that much money, and we're not really trying to use a whole lot of money in these runs. Okay, and here... we just have to be a little careful. On this emulator, it can be very difficult to just move one tile. So there's going to be any place where we have to move just like one tile where we're going to have to just quick save like that and try to get through. But there we are, basically through this section, the pre-Mount Moon section. And in Mount Moon, we actually don't have that many fights that we need to take. Now, we are going to get Mega Punch, just to have it. Could come in handy later against Lieutenant Surge. So, in general, we're not going to waste a lot of time picking things up that we don't need. So, given that we've already given all of our Pokemon max DVs, for example, HP up doesn't do anything for us, because our Pokemon already have as much HP as they can get. This Rocket Grunt here is another spot where we have to just be careful not to run into him. There we go. And Pikachu here is, I think, gonna be just fine, really. Let's see, so up against the Super Nerd, we can use Surf, Quick Attack. Did not mean to use Tail Whip there. We're going to go ahead and take the Helix Fossil, because, yeah, it's right in front of us for speed's sake. If you disagree with that, comment down below. Tell me to take the Dome Fossil, that's fine. So, here we can see that we've now learned Double Team. We're going to replace Tail Whip with Double Team here. And we have the TM for Mega Punch, which I think we're going to just go ahead and learn over Quick Attack. It's a much stronger attack. Our Pikachu's already fairly fast, so it's not exactly a TM that I think we need to waste a lot of time trying to get. There we go, we got our Great Ball. We're going to need the Great Ball later when it comes time to try to catch some HM Pokemon. Now, at this section, we don't really need it because we're going to be able to get our Charmander to help us out with getting through using Cut and Dig. But it will be useful later on. So we're just going to go straight to Cerulean Gym here. And I think our best strategy is just to start by spamming some double teams, and then go ahead and take the Goldeen out. And then here, we're going for a very similar strategy. 5, 6... Just spam double team and then take Staryu out, spam double team, and then try to take out Starmie. And as we can see, easy game. Pikachu really doesn't struggle at all in this section of the game. The place where it's going to struggle really is going to be when we get past Misty and we move on to Lieutenant Surge. So, Pikachu is now our first Pokemon through Misty on minimum battles. Very easy run. We can see that just by learning Surf, it actually has a pretty easy early game. So Now, let's move on to our next Pokemon, Oddish. So we're going to load up a new ROM here for our Oddish run. And yeah, here we are. We're back. We're continuing. Here is our Oddish. Now, our Oddish only knows Absorb, and this is going to be a bit of a challenge here early on. As we can see, there's a lot of bug types and a lot of poison types in this section. So, in order to help our Oddish out, this is the first time that we're actually going to teach Bide to a Pokemon. Because here, Absorb does fine damage against Caterpie. Not great, but it's alright. But here, we're probably doing more damage to Weedle by just using Bide. Because as we can see, I mean, Absorb does like 1 damage to the Weedle. And we'd very likely just run out of PP trying to use that against him. So, here against Rattata, very easy to just use Absorb. Here, oh no, we got knocked out. We actually have to reset based on that. Oops. Okay, we're actually going to have to reset the Game Boy to reload our game. Really? Okay. For whatever reason, it forgot that we had already beaten Brock, but that's okay, because this is an easy battle. There we go. Through Brock. Let's make sure that we resave that. Okay. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Okay. Sorry. Brock's an easy battle, so it doesn't matter either way. So. Here we go. So again, Oddish can just use Absorb against Caterpie, which is perfectly fine, super easy. Against Weedle, we're going to use Bide. We can absorb that last HP off of it. Okay, and then we're through. Okay, and there we got through the youngster. We're just going to use a couple potions right here. We can absorb and absorb, and then there we go. Just a simple Bide to get through there. Let's go ahead and heal up at the Pokemon Center. And there we are to the next bug catcher. Like, these battles aren't hard, even at our current level. It's just a matter of basically patience and strategy. The hard battle for this Oddish, I expect, is actually going to be the Team Rocket battle at the end of Mount Moon here. Really, the only items that we care about picking up here are the rare candy, and we'll get the escape rope just in case we decide that we need to run out to heal before fighting Team Rocket. Outside of that, there's not really a whole lot here that's useful to us. Here we need to try to get past that rocket. Perfect. Got past him. And the super nerd is not going to be super difficult, given that he's only got a 1 times, or, yeah, he's only got a little defense against us. Okay. He's disabling Bide on us, so now we have to use Bide. That was very annoying. Poison Powder, Absorb, 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 cool. And Absorb. There we go. So we're through that battle. Now we need to heal up just a little bit. And let's try this battle against Team Rocket. So here, I mean, Ekans doesn't do a lot of damage to us. I think we can just use Absorb against it. Probably best to just take it out as quickly as possible. Meowth takes us out. Okay, that was bad. Let's try this again. Maybe Bide is better against Ekans. That did not work. Okay. So maybe Absorb is the way to go here. Like, really, we probably need to get through Ekans with as much HP as possible. Then we need to do everything that we can to get through there. Stun Spore sounds like a good strategy to start. Let's use Bide. And we got taken out. We almost took out Coughing there, but it just wasn't enough and we got taken out. So here, like, ideally we want to get through Ekans without taking Leer too many times, because that's just helping the Meowth do a lot more damage to us. So again, get Stun Spore off. Let's use our last couple of Absorbs, and now I think Bide is a good strategy. And there we go. We are through Team Rocket, just like that. So it basically, we can see that using Absorb, we would have not had a good time, because we were going to level up in that fight, regardless of what we did. And because we level up in that fight, we're going to end up learning Stun Spore. And the amount of turns that it would take for us to use up all the PP of Stun Spore, plus all the PP of Poison Powder, like, we would get knocked out every single time in that battle if we took that strategy. So instead, what we did was we used Stun Spore still, but we really focused on trying to just get through by using Bide. Here we are up against Misty, and against Misty, I think the best strategy is to start off with Stun Spore, and then here as well, let's use Stun Spore. Let's start just absorbing her Pokemon down. There we go. And now we're learning Sleep Powder. We're going to actually replace Stun Spore with Sleep Powder. because of how ridiculously broken sleep is in this generation. And that's 2 Pokemon through. So the challenge for Oddish is really just the fight against Team Rocket in Mount Moon. Outside of that, there aren't actually a lot of challenges for it. Once it gets through, it's fine. And looking ahead to Lieutenant Surge, again, it's going to resist the electric type moves of a Lieutenant Surge, so that plus status, I think, is going to be more than enough to get us through, even though we don't really get any useful TMs at this section of the game. So we're just going to have to see how it goes after that. We're probably going to want to try to get Mega Drained as soon as possible. And we're definitely going to want to get Swords Dance whenever that becomes available to us, given that those moves are really going to help us to actually deal damage and use the badge boost glitch later in the game. So, Oddish is through. It's time to test out the ace of the Cerulean Gym, Starmie. So, for Starmie, we're going to go ahead and load up our ROM here. And here is our Starmie. We have Water Gun, Tackle, and Harden. Now, the big advantage that we're going to have against Misty here is going to come from the fact that because we have Harden, we're going to effectively get the badge boost glitch here going, or I should really say the badge boost mechanic, because there's no way to avoid it. And thinking about it logically, like, even if we didn't know the badge boosts existed in Generation 1, we would still want to use Harden against Misty, because Staryu and Starmie can only do a lot of damage against us by using Tackle. Misty has good AI, so her AI is going to tell her that, oh yeah, Bubble Beam and Water Gun are resisted, so Tackle does neutral damage. So they should just use Tackle every single turn, basically. What that means is that using Harden is very useful because it actually increases our defense stat against her Pokemon. And if we have higher defense, we are, of course, going to be much better against her Pokemon than if we didn't have high defense. We can theoretically beat her at a lower level by doing that. So it really means that we should just use that move anyway. And the fact that we're going to be getting attack boosts off of that, because Brock's badge gives us the attack boost of 12.5%, but we're going to be getting that every single time when we use our Harden. That's, I mean, just an unavoidable stat boost that we're getting. We would get it through just normal strategy against her Pokemon. So it's not really something that we're ever going to look to avoid. We will take advantage of badge boosts whenever it's useful to the Pokemon in question, because that is a built-in mechanic of the game and it's a legitimate strategy. So we can see that our Starmie gets poisoned here. So we're actually going to use some potions to heal up. Come on. There we go. And let's try to get to the Pokemon Center before we faint. There we go. We're back to full health. And we got our rare candies. And we could go north towards Bill's house to try to get the TM for Thunder Wave, but let's just give this a shot as we are now. Like, we can use Harden here, and then tackle against Goldeen, and yeah, Goldeen goes down. So outside of battle, we'll use a potion, and let's give Misty a shot. Let's just see if our better strategy will enable us to beat Misty right off the bat. So Misty's already using some X defense here. But Staryu can't use Harden. Only Starmie can. And Starmie is just going to randomly shuffle between Tackle and Harden. So, in spite of the fact that we don't have the same level Starmie as Misty, we were just able to completely smash through her team just by using Harden and getting the badge boosts. So that's pretty awesome, and we get Bubble Beam. So now Tackle, Water Gun, Harden, Bubble Beam. We'll probably replace Water Gun with Thunder Wave, just so that we have a status move moving forward. Bubble Beam is obviously much better, but the other reason is because we have the TM for Water Gun. So if we ever did want to relearn it for any reason, whether it's for PP or anything, we have that option right there. So Starmie is through, and we can see that all three of our first 3 out of 5 Pokemon were able to get through Misty with no problems. Let's move on to the first Pokemon that I expect to actually struggle against Misty, which is Rhydon. Now, why will Rhydon struggle? It's going to have a type disadvantage, a huge type disadvantage, in fact. Because we are going to be 4 times weak to water moves. And being 4 times weak to her Pokemon's moves is a pretty big deal here. Because it means that Bubble Beam is likely a one-shot, pretty much regardless of the level that we're at. We probably can't level up enough, even going to the SSN, to stop her Starmie from one-shotting us, given its very high special, and its high speed is going to be a huge issue for us too. Because when you think about it, the fact that it has high speed, and Rhydon is not a fast Pokemon, means that we're almost certainly going to have to take a Water Gun or Bubble Beam before we even get the chance to attack her Pokemon. And that's pretty bad for us. So Rhydon is a Pokemon that I think might even have to complete the SSN in order to have any shot whatsoever against Misty. Now, here we are going to pick up a couple TMs here, because Rhydon can learn Water Gun. Might be useful against certain trainers. Sorry, we don't need to go there. We don't need to get the HP up because we already have maxed out DVs and maxed out stats. So, but we do want to get Mega Punch, which yet again could be useful. Stomp is already a very strong move, and so I'm not going to teach Mega Punch right away. We're going to wait until we see a situation where it looks like it would be useful. Because Stomp is already so strong, plus it has the chance to flinch our opponent. And that is pretty huge. There we go, we got through. But Water Gun will be useful, I think. If we're going to north to Bill's house, then there will be a situation where Water Gun will help us to get through some necessary Onix up there. We will have to fight an Onix, and Water Gun will make that fight incredibly easy. Whereas with our current moveset, we might have some difficulty, especially given our low speed. These Pokemon keep getting poisoned by Team Rocket, so there we go. We got our Great Ball. We just want to get to the Pokemon Center. So, in this one, I don't think Goldeen is an issue. It's definitely going to be Staryu and Starmie that are issues here. As we can see, Goldeen, just a pretty easy fight, because it only knows Peck and Supersonic. But here, with just one attempt against Misty, I think we're already going to see the issue. Water Gun is a one-hit knockout of our Rhydon. So, obviously at our current level, if Staryu, yeah, it's a critical hit, but if Staryu can take us out that easily, then clearly there's no point in continuing that fight. Now, what we will do is we will go ahead and teach Water Gun to our Pokemon. And we're going to replace Fury Attack because Fury Attack is pretty random, and we already have Horn Attack and Stomp that do plenty of damage to our opponents here. So, there we go. But Sandshrew, we can get the advantage of having Water Gun. And there we go. We're through the rival. Piece of cake. And now Nugget Bridge. This section, again, is going to be, I think, fairly easy. With the exception of maybe the Mankey at the end. Since it will know Low Kick, it could do decent damage to us. But these Pokemon, as we can see, it's basically just spamming Stomp to get through. And here we'll use Horn Attack. And we're going to go back and heal up one time just to get more PP. Piece of cake. Okay. This trainer could be difficult if it had good AI, but clearly it doesn't. So, we're just going to go ahead and stomp these Pokemon down here. Now, we can get our Charmander here, and we want Charmander because it is going to be our HM Pokemon to learn Cut later. It eliminates the need for us to try to catch a wild Pokemon to use Cut. There we can see Onix with Water Gun is an easy one-hit. We do not want to fight this junior trainer right there, which is fine. We will fight this last because we have to. And then we don't want to fight that Hiker, because that Hiker has 4 Pokemon. So we actually want to fight this junior trainer here, since he will only have 2 Pokemon. Again, for minimum battles, when we have a choice between 2 battles, the battle that yields less XP is the one that we should go for, or really the battle that results in us fighting fewer Pokemon. But ultimately, it's about XP. We want fewer XP in order to make this more of a challenge. I would consider fewer Pokemon defeated as fewer battles, so to speak. So that's why that decision's made there. So as we can see, any Pokemon that wants the Seismic Toss TM, which is just there in the top left corner, is not going to be able to get it because we have to fight that trainer. And if we went any closer, like close enough that we could lure that trainer out, we're going to get run into by this Hiker. So that's why we can't get Seismic Toss yet. We can come back after we get Cut and pick it up for any Pokemon that might need it. Here against this last with the Oddish, we're gonna get through just fine because we have Stomp. and Stomp is strong enough to just completely wreck the Oddish there. So let's get Bill situated here. There he is. We have now got the SS ticket, so we can go down south. And let's fight... Before we try one more attempt at Misty, let's fight this Rocket Grunt, since we can get Dig off of him. And Dig is going to be a useful TM for us, because as we can see, Rhydon does not learn any ground-type moves naturally. Its only ground-type moves and rock-type moves come via TM. And it's a pretty big disadvantage for it that it doesn't have any natural level-up moves of its type. You know, any level-up stab moves. But now we have a stab move. Let's go ahead and take a second try against Misty here to see, could Dig be enough? Dig gets us through Staryu with no problems, but against Starmie, not happening. We're outsped and we just get one shot. So this is another spot where I think we're best off going south, getting a little more experience, and see if we can reach a point where even we can outspeed the Staryu. If we can reach that point, then we're actually in really great shape. So we don't have to fight that bug catcher. We do have to fight these two junior trainers. So, oops, I did not mean to use Dig there because it's not effective. Stomp is perfectly fine to get through the last. And then here against Raticate, we just use Dig and boom, done. Now the SSN, you may remember as a kid going through here and fighting all these battles, but really there's only one battle to fight. And everything else that's useful in here is basically trapped behind trainers. So the only things that we're gonna get are, I forget, yeah, that's trainer, perfect. There was one of these rooms that I always remembered looked like it had trainers, but it wasn't. But the fact of the matter is that here items are basically locked behind trainer battles. And because of that, we can't really pick up any of the TMs, we can't pick up the rare candy, we can't get any of that on minimum battles. We just have to go and fight the rival right here. So let's take him on. Stomp is easy for these Pokemon. Let's dig against that. And let's dig again against Eevee. So now we can see that we've leveled up to level 21. We do have 2 rare candies in our pocket in case we need them. But there's really nothing else to do here on the SSN. It's just fight Rival 3. And then the SSN goes away. We have the cut HM, which will be useful when we want to get to Lieutenant Surge later, but here it's really just a matter of, okay, we're back at Misty, we've got Dig, we've leveled up a couple times, can we get through? So we've saved, and let's go ahead and try this fight one more time. So we outsped the Staryu and we one-hit it. So that was pretty good. Starmie uses an X-Defend and we are through. That is the real issue that Misty has, is that her AI randomly will use items like X-Defend. And because she used that X-Defend, she actually gave us a turn in order to dig a second time, pop up, and knock her out. If she had just used Water Gun twice in a row, we're out. We get knocked out. So it's possible, but fortunately Misty being the first trainer, the first gym leader that uses X items on her Pokemon actually opens up opportunities for us to beat her, even with Pokemon that should not be able to beat her if she plays well. If she uses Bubble Beam, we're probably out. If she uses Water Gun twice, we're probably out. So she just beat herself, basically. So, Rhydon is another Pokemon through Misty, and we are on to the last Pokemon of today's challenge. The original legendary Pokemon, Arcanine. And Arcanine's going to be interesting in that what's going on with our Arcanine here? Oop, that's not what I wanted. As you can see, I've played with Arcanine a little bit here. So let's go back and double check this now. So, okay. So we have beaten Brock with Arcanine here. Because we have the HM or the TM for Bide. So it's just a matter of healing up and moving on through here. Let's see how we can do against these trainers. Now, some of these, like, we can even use Takedown in order to get through. Okay, that works just fine. Okay, we just need to go back now. And now Arcanine, again, we can try Takedown as a strategy, but the problem with Takedown is that it deals recoil damage. And if Misty is doing damage to us, plus we're doing recoil damage to ourselves, we may end up just taking ourselves out with that strategy. However, the ace that we could have against Misty is, again, Dig. Dig is 100 base power, and it's 100% accurate. So it's a pretty good move in Generation 1. Like, it's basically the same as Earthquake in this generation. And it's a move that we're going to want to carry on our Arcanine all the way through the game, basically, because it's the move that's going to allow us to have good type coverage. When we come up against Blaine later in the game, we're going to want to have Dig. When we come up against Giovanni, we're going to want to have Dig. Even against Pokemon like Alakazam, when we're fighting against Sabrina, having Dig is just going to give us a really strong physical attack to use in that battle. So here, I don't really want to get poisoned, which is why I'm just going ahead and using Takedown there. Let's go ahead and save just so that we can get through this hopefully pretty easily. Seem to be doing just fine here. And there we go. We are through Team Rocket, and we are out of Mount Moon. Come on. There we go. We got our Great Ball. We will use that later when we need to catch a Pokemon in order to use HM moves. Basically, after we get the Fly HM, we will catch a Flying type Pokemon. Probably a Spearow or a Doduo or something like that in order to try to get through. This is our first time in Misty's gym. We're just going straight there one time to see if we come up against this Goldeen. Can we take it out? Yes, we can. So Goldeen is not a problem, but Goldeen doesn't have any water-type moves. It only knows Peck, so Peck and Supersonic, but basically its only damage-dealing move directly is Peck, so it can't use water-type against us. Now, let's see how we do against Misty here. So we're going to go ahead and save. And let's see, how does Takedown do against her? Bubble Beam takes us right out. So getting through the Staryu is not an issue, but getting through Starmie is. So let's go north, let's fight the rival, and see if we can't get this to be a little bit better. We're using Takedown there against the Sandshrew because we wanted to get through faster, but that did not work. We took too many sand attacks. So, let's see if burning it is better instead. Appears to be. So, Takedown, and we are through the rival. So, perfect. Let's get through Nugget Bridge as quickly as possible here. Now, Arcanine, being that it is a stone evolution, basically doesn't have any level up moves at this point. So we're going to go through pretty much the whole game without ever having any level up moves. We're just going to learn TM moves from here on out. It doesn't learn any HMs, at least here in Generation 1. So we just have to collect as many TMs as we can that are useful and use those in order to boost our moves. And there we go. Takedown. Perfect. So we will need a Charmander in order to use cuts. We're going to get the Charmander in every run, no matter what, to be our cut and strength user. We don't actually need it for strength because we'll get Lapras later on and be able to use Lapras for Surf. But in a playthrough where we can't get through Sylph Company, we can't get through Rival 5 initially in order to get Lapras. Instead, what we'll do is we will get Eevee and a Water Stone and evolve Eevee into Vaporeon. And that will give us a free Water-type Pokemon to use in order to be able to go, for example, to Blaine. If we want to go to Blaine before beating Rival 5, we actually have a way to do that without adding any extra battles. So the only battle that we're going to have to do against wild Pokemon in order to get an HM user will be Flying type. So in all of these playthroughs, we'll be using that same basic strategy. But if we think that we can get through Rival 5 before we want to go to Blaine, then, before we beat Koga and want to go to Blaine, then we may end up using Vaporeon instead of Lapras. So having a Pokemon like Charmander that can use Strength is pretty useful. So we can see that already going north to Bill's house, we were able to level up a little bit, but we're going to fight this Rocket Grunt because we can get the Dig TM, which will be a useful part of our Arcanine's moveset here. So there we go. We have Dig. Let's go ahead and teach it. And we don't need Roar. Roar is a useless move. It doesn't have any effect in battle. And given that we don't really fight wild Pokemon, we don't need to use Roar. So here, we've leveled up a little bit, and we've gotten Dig. Let's see if that's enough to get through Misty here. So first, let's Dig. Okay, she uses X Defend, but doesn't really matter. And here we outspeed the Starmie, and we are through. So even without going south to the SSN, just getting the Dig TM is more than enough to get Arcanine through Misty. So today we started with 5 Pokemon against Misty, and guess what? All 5 of these Pokemon could beat Misty on minimum battles. Of these Pokemon, Rhydon was the only one that actually had to go through the SSN to be able to beat Misty, but her AI is bad enough that we can actually beat her just like that. So that was a pretty good set of runs. I don't think Misty is actually going to be as big a wall to our Pokemon as Brock was. I mean, Brock knocked out more than half of all Pokemon, and here Misty just doesn't have the firepower to do that, especially given her bad moveset. But we may be surprised. Some Pokemon that get knocked out. So we can see a wide variety of challengers here. And with the Pokemon that are finished today, our Surfing Pikachu is done. Our Arcanine is done. Let's see, our Starmie and Rhydon are done. So there's Rhydon, yes. Starmie is here. Yes, Starmie's done. And Oddish is done. So, we still have a ton of Pokemon to go through. But which Pokemon do you want to see in the next episode? Go ahead and comment down below and tell me which 5 Pokemon do you want to see in our next run versus Misty. Based on the comments, we'll definitely take them into account when deciding the next set. I want to keep the runs where we have at least 1 or 2 Pokemon that look like it might be a challenge, 1 or 2 Pokemon that look like it's going to be easy, and then maybe one that's kind of on the fence between those. So today, clearly, Oddish and Pikachu we expected to be quite easy against Misty. We expected Arcanine and Rhydon to struggle a little bit, but clearly that wasn't enough of a struggle to stop them from getting through. And then a Pokemon that was kind of middling with Starmie. We're taking her ace against her and seeing if we can beat her. But which of the Pokemon that are remaining do you want to see? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you next time. I will send you out with a little bit of music and a reminder to subscribe. Thank you very much. See you next week.
Well, it's your black market love me. She checked her halo at the barroom door. As the night bleeds, masquerades, ya no puedo resistir to amor. I know the evil games that you're playing. The way your eyes glow just like a flame. It'd be a sin just to know your name. Whoa, don't make me beg for your love, babe. Whoa, you've got my heart on a chain. With your black eyes on the red moonlight, let's shoot some stars in this neon night. Now it's a black market love, babe. She checked her halo at the bedroom door. Ya no puedo vivir sin ti, como me duele el amor. Yes, I know, it's just a game that she's playing. The way you saw